Hi guys, this video is for those of you who need a quick version of how to draw a shaded box and a shaded cylinder. So let's get right into it. We're going to draw the box over here and the cylinder right there, both on the same page, both with accurate shading. Let's first start with the box. We don't want these too large because we want to be able to get them done within a single period. First step for the box, draw a vertical line that's about 1 inch high, a little to the left of it, and offset upwards. Draw the same size line that's just going straight up and down. Okay, we want three parallel buddies. Right, that looks kind of like this. Once you have that, you can connect the tops and bottoms. And all that's left to do is draw the top surface over here. The way you want to do that is this line over here wants to be parallel with this one. And the line over here wants to be, this over here wants to be parallel with that line. Parallel means if you extend them out in space forever and ever, they will never ever touch, kind of like railroad tracks. That's the outlines of the box itself. What you want to draw now is the cast shadow. The way you do that is first you draw a diagonal line. It's fairly long. We'll clean that up later. And then we want to copy and paste this line over here, right? This one between my fingers. You want to pop that out, copy paste it at the same angle, same length, somewhere around over here. Okay, so I'm going to tilt my paper, just go over between these two endpoints of the line to get it in my muscle memory, and move over here and draw it at the same angle. Okay, so I just copy pasted that right there. Okay, then over here I want to copy paste this line between my two fingers right there, pop that out, boom, put it right here. So I'm going to use that same muscle memory technique. Just go back and forth, get a feel for the angle, and draw that in right there. To finish off the cast shadow, you can erase this excess down there. And this line, right, which is the line that shows the direction where the light's coming from, we want to draw a parallel line to that up top over here. Okay? So those are all the lines you need for the box. Let's move on to the cylinder over here on the right side. The cylinder, in order to draw the outline, you first start with an oval. Okay, draw it about 1.5 inches wide. If you guys have trouble with making a well-proportioned oval, I'll show you the crosshair trick. First, you start with a horizontal line, okay, and then you cross it with a perpendicular line that's about 1/3 of the height. Okay, the height of this, I mean, is about 1/3 of the width. Now you have 4 endpoints that you can use as a target, okay, for when you're doing your oval motion with your hand. That can help you out. And then afterwards, you can erase these guys. Okay, once you have the top surface of the oval, I'm actually going to draw mine a little bit smaller. Again, this is the quick version, so smaller is going to be advantageous for us because we want to get these done. So after you get that first oval up there, you want to draw 2 vertical lines from the left and rightmost edges, right, of that oval. And then right in between these lines, you want to draw an oval of the same size. Okay, you're only going to need the bottom half of that, so erase the top half of that oval. All that's left to do here is draw in the cast shadow for the cylinder. So we want to have that be the same angle as the cast shadow for the box. So that's this angle that we want right there that we want to copy over. Okay, so get a feel for that and then copy that line over right over here, a little longer than you need because we'll clean that up. I'm actually going to draw in the top half of the oval again because it's kind of useful, right? This line, I want to copy paste that line so that it's tangent with the top surface of that oval, okay? Right over here. And then, so you want these two lines to be parallel, but the amount they're spaced apart is so that this top diagonal line is tangent with with the top of this oval. After you have these two lines, you can erase the inside because we don't need those construction lines anymore. And then here, draw a small diagonal line right that. And then we're going to use this line to draw a small oval. Okay? And that left side of the oval is what we want left over to create the cast shadow for our cylinder like that. It's a little long, so I'm going to shorten it up a bit. Okay, I'll draw another oval here. Erase this side that I don't need. Erase the inside. Okay, so we've got the outlines of the box and the cylinder. Let's start shading this in. First starting with the box on the left side. The darkest surface on the box is this face. Okay, so we want to bring that down to a 4. Here's what I mean. Coming up with our swatches, we have our 5-tone system here. 5 is the darkest. One above that is a 4. So we want to go down to a dark gray. All right, that's for this face over here. Start with one smooth layer going in one consistent direction. For me, that's up and down. And without trying to go all the way down to a dark gray immediately, I'm layering in multiple layers to this, each time changing my stroke direction. It's going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone by making it darker with each successive layer, as well as smoothing out any kind of scratchiness. Okay. So I'm adding in my 3rd layer. It's about what you want to see. You can use your eraser to clean up any of the overlapping strokes along the edges. Fine tune that a bit. All right, that face is a 4. The face over here, directly to the right of it, we want it to be a 3. Okay, so loosen up on your pencil pressure. We still want to work in multiple layers, but using much less pencil pressure, so that even though we do overlap multiple layers, we're not going to be getting nearly as much darkness. So I'm going to work in 3 layers, 3 very, very light gray layers. Okay. Important note over here, you see that darkness in the outline? I want to erase all of that. Okay, we don't want to be left with any outlined edges. All the edges on this box, including the top over here, they want to read because there's a contrasting difference between the areas of value, not because there's an outline. Last face we're going to shade in is this top one. That's going to be the very lightest tone of gray you can manage, meaning we're going down to a 2, but a super extra light 2. Hold your pencil like a magic wand and just touch your lead to it and let the weight of your pencil do the work. Okay, I'm not even applying any extra pressure onto the pencil itself. Just letting gravity do the work, and I'm just kind of wiggling the pencil across the surface here, surface of the paper. And go back and forth, but I'm only going to go in 1 layer. And after I get that light gray down, I'm going to erase the edges so that there's no dark outlines. that's about what you want to see. Next, we're going to move on to the cast shadow. Okay, the cast shadow is going to be the darkest area in this part of the drawing for the box. Because we don't want to lose these edges, right? The first thing I want you to do is darken in the areas of the cast shadow immediately next to the this back face over here, which we took down to a dark gray, right? Sort of putting a thick outline here, just so that as we shade the rest of the things in, we don't lose that edge. Okay, so we're going to take this cast shadow all the way down to a 5. We're going to use the same kind of shading technique where we're working in multiple layers, but you can use a little more pencil pressure, work in many more layers to make it nice and dark. So that's layer 1, changing stroke directions for layer 2. It's the same approach, same kind of process for most anything we shade in. Okay, multiple layers to get rid of any kind of scratchiness. That's layer 2, rotating the paper once more. Layer 3 is starting to get a little closer to the value I want. Layer 4 over here, I'm turning my paper once more. And right about here, I want to think about a subtle change in value. In terms of the cast shadow is actually a little darker as it gets closer to the object itself, versus over here at the tip of the cast shadow that's farther away. It's a little hazier, slightly lighter on that end. Okay, so you want to keep mindful that basically means you can press down a little harder on the right side, versus your pencil pressure wants to be lighter as you get to the left. I'm going to use my eraser to clean up these edges, sharpen them up a bit. Last thing I'm going to do is, well, second to last thing, I'm going to add in the occlusion shadow. Okay, that's the shadow created by the areas and the corners, basically this crevice over here. The corner is created by planes where light just can't penetrate into those little crevices. So we're darkening in this area and making sure to smooth it out. We don't want any distinct areas in the shading where it makes it look like there's like a dark triangle there. Okay, any kind of any shading, especially within here, there wants to be gradual transitions. All right, the last thing I'm going to do is darken up this dark gray just a bit here, because particularly after I put down that cast shadow, right, it's looking a little bit too weak. So I wanted to have a little bit more punch on this side. And while I'm at it, I can sharpen up some of these edges between this darker face and the other lighter planes. Clean up some of these edges a little bit more. Some fine tuning. That about does it for the realistic box. Let's move on to the cylinder here. Cylinder, okay, is going to have a similar condition to the box, except the terminator for the cylinder although we do visualize as a straight line up and down or over here. Okay. The terminator is going to determine the point at which we start to transition into lighter grays, versus the terminator over here for the box is a straight line. Okay, it's a straight edge. So let me start at step 1 for the cylinder. This point right over here where the cast shadow, the line of the cast shadow meets up with the edge of the bottom edge of the cylinder, that's where you want to draw a light vertical line. That's your terminator. Okay. Once you have that, fill in everything on the left side of that terminator. Okay. The left side, we're going to fill it into a dark gray, a 4. Okay. This is the form shadow of the cylinder. Working in layers, get rid of any of that scratchiness. Okay, once you have that filled in, you can clean up some of the edges, particularly on the top over here. That's important. And then that's down to a 4. We want to take a portion of it down to a 5 now, the darkest we can get. Meaning, leave out this left bottom corner. Leave that out of this darkening process. And that's going to create for us the reflected light. Okay. Within this form shadow for the cylinder, we got a portion of it on the left bottom corner where light is coming in from the environment, bouncing off of the ground and reflecting back onto this area. Okay. Again, no sharp edges over here between this area we just darkened in and that area we're leaving alone. Okay. Even out any edges so that you have a gradual transition from a 5 to a 4. Now that this is at a 5, I can sharpen in some of these edges. Okay. Now at this point, you want to transition from this darkest of tones that you got down to, so this is a 5. We want to get down to a 3 very, very quickly. So it wants to go 5, 4, 3 within about this distance. I'm lightly drawing in a line right there. Okay. This is called Lambertian fall off. We don't want to take too long in making this transition from dark to light. It's a common mistake for beginners to make, right? In nature, when things are lit like this, it transitions from light to dark quite quickly, right? So I just put in my first layer there. I still see a little too distinct of a dark line there. So we want to make that a gradual transition. Gradual but quick. Between a 5 down to a 3. Okay, my pencil pressure gets way lighter as I make my way towards the right side. It's a little bit firmer. I'm getting some spottiness over here. You could kind of press your eraser down to make some fine tuning if you have spots like I do. The goal is to get a smooth transition from a 5 to a 3 in a small amount of space. Okay. Darken in some local areas. Pretty good. Clean up these edges on the top and bottom. Now, this is a 3. We want to go all the way down to a very, very light 2. Okay. So start your pencil here, and by the time you get to the right side, you are using the lightest possible feather touch. Okay. This whole face of the cylinder wants to have gradual transitions. Any spots over here you can clean up with just by pressing your eraser into them. And just like we did with the box, I don't want any dark outlines, so I'm going to erase that out. This edge over here is particularly important to clean up between the face we just shaded and the top surface of the cylinder. And like we did for the top of the box over here, we want to add in the lightest tone of gray you possibly can on for the top of the cylinder, okay? So hold your pencil at the very end over here, just lay your lead down and let your pencil wiggle over the top surface. Let gravity do the work and just kind of make a nice even area of very, very light gray. You could use your eraser to lighten it up a little bit like I am if that's what you need. Okay, just not rubbing, but just kind of pressing down on some areas here and there. And then you want to clean up this top edge. So that there's no outlines. I'm going to sharpen this rightmost edge over here with my eraser. Some fine tuning. Okay, so that's pretty good to go. I'm going to sharpen this edge over here on the left. All right, let's move on to this cast shadow. We are going to take it down to a 5, but like we did for the box, it's going to be just a touch darker on this on the side that's closest to the cylinder. So first thing, on the side where we have our reflected light, let's shade in kind of thick, dark outline so that we can preserve the edge over here and we don't lose it. Okay. Once you have that, start shading in the cast shadow. And we're going all the way down to a 5. Okay, every successive layer, go in a different stroke direction. Okay, so that's about the darkness I want. It's slightly darker on the right side versus the left. Okay, let's add in the occlusion shadow. It's basically darkening in this sliver of a triangle. And I'm blending that in to the rest of the cast shadow. I'm going to have to use my eraser to clean this up a little bit. Clean up some of these edges. You might notice your hand has some graphite on it. It's okay. That kind of made a mess over here for me here and there. You might notice the same for you. Okay, so that's a quick version of these exercises. So go ahead, take a picture of this and submit it onto Schoology. Should be worksheet. Let's see, which one was it? Should be worksheet 11. Okay. All right, guys. Good luck.